What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the vlog. Last video we talked about things that is going to be happening with the Z. Well, that time is now, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I got just as a quick review so you know what we're going to be doing. Alright, here we are back on the infamous dryer shot here. So I have 3 new belts for the Z, and they didn't really label which one is which. However, I do have the order sheet from Concept Z Performance, which is where I got everything, and which one goes to where. So then if you guys need references, you can either refer to your receipt or you can just watch this video because I will label these here very shortly. In this bag here, I got top radiator mounting brackets with the little clip because a lot of people, the hood prop doesn't fit anymore. So this is from Concept Z Performance, and then the brand we went with is Mishimoto for the radiator. So in the last video, all the comments pointed towards 3 radiators. 1 was Mishimoto, 2 was Koyo, and 3 was How. Now in this case, you could have gone with any of them, and they're all great radiators made by great companies with great reputations. Now, the reason why I went with Mishimoto, honestly, is just because it was the cheapest of all 3. Normally, I expect Mishimoto to be more expensive. I've seen them priced out on different cars, like Koyo versus Mishimoto, and Mishimoto is generally more expensive. However, in this case, from Concept Z Performance, that radiator right there, Mishimoto was actually like, I think it was like 50 or 60 bucks cheaper than Koyo, which was 50 or 60 bucks cheaper than How. So any way you slice it, these are all great radiators. They'll all be a huge upgrade from the stock radiator that's in the 300ZX, especially the twin turbos. So you can't really go wrong with any of them. But for now, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna prep the Z, get it up in the air. We're gonna start draining out the coolant and taking apart what needs to be taken apart for the easiest access to get to the belts. So we're gonna go ahead and get that done right now. Alright, so the first thing I actually want to do here before I get down below is I do want to get rid of the 2 clamps that hold the radiator right now, the mounting brackets. And then I also want to take off the intercooler piping. I want to take off the fan shroud, as well as the fan itself. So just to get these brackets off, it is just the classic 10mm bolt. So as long as you don't lose your 10mm, you're good, but you can also have the option to use a screwdriver. So for the intercooler piping, I can't really tell you. These right here are aftermarket, with the clamps also being aftermarket. They aren't labeled, so I can't even tell you what brand they are, but either way, they are aftermarket, the silicone. But for these, it's a 12mm. Hopefully that's the same for stock, or if you get the Concept Z Performance Kit or the Z1 Performance Kit. But that's what we're going to use to get all these clamps off and take them out. Alright, that step is done. Intercooler piping is gone. Now, the next thing I believe we need to do is remove the shroud. And I think it's held on by just 2 10mm bolts, one right here, and then one on the other side, looking through the camera right here. Oh, underneath this right here. Underneath this, I believe this is the sender from the motor to the radiator, so it's just right below this hose right here. And I think that's it. I really should have looked up instructions before doing this, but I thought I'd just send it. So we're just gonna pull those out real quick and see what we got. So yep, those 2 bolts seem to have done it. Just gotta clear it around this hose. And there does seem to be almost like a little peg right there, it's focused on, that you need to pull the shroud off and over. That also helps it line up, and then we should be able to clear the fan. So let's see if I can do this one-handed here real quick. Nope, radiator wants to come too. Should have left the brackets on, huh? Yeah, probably. But you know what? Lesson learned. Lesson learned. Nah, I need 2 hands to do this real quick. Alright, so we got the stock fan shroud out, and this is actually the bottom side down here. And I noticed 2 more holes that weren't attached to mine. And when I crawled underneath the car, I saw 2 holes for them on the bottom of the stock radiator. So obviously this has been out before. which is fine because I believe this is not the actual motor that came with the car. I think this is an aftermarket, or not aftermarket, but a second motor. So obviously this stuff has been out before. So I'm just gonna set this off to the side. And now comes the fun part of actually draining what's in the radiator and what can possibly leak out. Now, not all of the coolant is gonna come out because the car is sitting at an angle. You know, just the front's jacked up. But we'll let out as much as we can because I know once we undo these two hoses right here, more is gonna come out. But let's go ahead, I'm gonna show you how to drain it. So one of the first things you always wanna do is undo the radiator cap right here so you do have free flowing and it won't just spurtle and glug all over the place. So undo that. Now we're gonna come underneath the car and have a couple buckets ready, or if you have a drain pan or something, that works. And on, this is a US spec car, and it's this little nozzle right here on the right side of the radiator. I'd assume all of them are the same, but just in case, this is the one that we're going to do. So if we turn it, stuff should come out. And I need a better angle. 1 second. Alright, that was weird. Somehow my memory card just freaked out and wouldn't record there. But now the coolant is draining out of the drain on the left hand side, or sorry, the right hand side of the radiator. So now it's just a waiting game. So while we wait for the coolant to drain down there, what you need now is a 10mm wrench. And there are 4 bolts here that attach the clutch fan to the water pump. And those just need to be loosened up real quick. And then there are actual enough spaces. This is a bigger space in this fan here. Some are wider space than other ones, such as like this one. Really helps you get your hand in there so you can just break them loose. Already just loosened all those up real quick. And it took less than, all right, whose car alarm? Whose man's? Whose man's? All right, clutch fan is out. Now, so far, this is actually proving to be pretty easy. So the coolant has done, wow, I messed that up. The coolant is done draining. So now the next thing I'm going to do actually is unscrew these 2 clamps right here, pull these hoses off, and the radiator should pop right out. However, I am also prepared that this will make a mess taking these out. And it's still dripping a little bit down there, but you know, it's gonna make a mess regardless. So let's go ahead, grab a screwdriver, pop these off, pull the radiator out, and we got loads of room to change out the belts. Now, one thing I've noticed is I do believe these belts, just by a general rule of thumb, have been over tightened. Normally you want 1 inch of play, as in it'll move a 1/2 inch out and a 1/2 inch in. This is really, really stiff. This one is about right to the water pump. That's what it should be. Nice, and but this is stiff, and this one is really stiff to the air conditioner. Like that right there could have been why it's been squealing, because these belts aren't too bad. But might as well change them. We've got this far. Okay, so I just disconnect these real quick, and oh no, I should probably take this off too right here, huh? Yep, is this a zip tie? Yeah, it looks like someone got a zip tie on there instead of a normal clamp. Oh, yep, okay. All right, that's out of the way. Let me just tuck that around in here real quick so it won't go flying in that little, wait, is that, oh my goodness. Is that a big vacuum leak that could be happening right now? What? Who? Why? Wow. So that right there could have literally been reducing horsepower by a lot because it's hooked up on that side right down there. Boys, I think we might have found something. I need to find out what that vacuum line is to and take care of that, because that's not cool. But anyway, mission at hand. Oh yeah, this just lifts right out. Minus you have to manage the hoses over here. But once again, let me set the camera down and pull that out. And that, my guys, is the radiator removed. Now we obviously are going to save these hoses still because they do need to go onto the Mishimoto. I did drop also one clamp underneath the car as I was taking it out, so I have to take note. Oh, actually, you know what? Here it is. Bounced out front. So, the next step is obviously to start loosening up the hoses. Not the hoses, wow, the belts. And there are a bunch of tensioners and bolts that help loosen everything up. And so I really just need to find them to help make this process easier. Now we have the power steering pump, we have the alternator, and we have the air conditioning pulley. So now I'm going to take some time here and find where everything is, and then once I know where everything is, we'll come back. Okay, so underneath the car, this isn't actually going to be too bad. So the first thing that's going to be removed is the power steering pump. Sorry, there's a light right above it, but let's see if I can zoom in right here. Come on, camera, you can do it. You can do it. Anyway, you can see this bolt very slightly right here. Oh man, that light up there. If I zoom in far enough, if it will cancel it out. Alright, what if I counteract it with a flashlight? There we go. That bolt right there is for the power steering, which is the first belt we have to remove. It's a 12mm socket, so unfortunately it is a little short, so I'm actually going to use a 12mm wrench to get that undone, which will loosen up the belt for the power steering. Then there's the next one in line is the air conditioning. Now there's this idler pulley right here, and underneath it, on where my thumb is, right, like pretty much right below, is another 12mm to loosen this idler pulley, relieve the tension for that. And then for the alternator, look at the flashlight again. It's right there, right in front of the alternator on the bottom of it. Once you undo all those, all the belts are loose and then good to be replaced. This doesn't want to move still.
Yeah, this tensioner is stuck in place.
Though, because obviously the new belts are going to be stiffer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, belts are coming off.
Yep.
Hands are... I mean, the funny thing is that this is probably one of the easier things to do on a 300GX.
Still very difficult.
Yeah. It's not difficult, but I mean, it's just really time consuming because you have to maneuver around so much, especially when you're a person, well, it's messy, this was my size. Alrighty, so we went ahead, pulled out all of the belts while Billy enjoys a nice beer, and fit them where they need to go. There's a lot of slack in all these, which is fine. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is get back underneath the car, tighten them up, and hopefully tension them right, because as we saw before, this one running to the air conditioning, which was always the one howling whenever I turned my air conditioning, was just really, really, really over tightened. You could barely move the belt. Oh.
So we just finished putting the belts back on, and how many new belts are on there?
Just one, the air conditioning one. When we were labeling them, if we go back and watch that video, I actually labeled like two, what were they, 2 power steering labels? Or no, 2 water pumps.
Yeah, an alternator water pump, which is on the same.
That's right, it's on the same one. And the thing is, we found out that yes, this is an aftermarket pulley right here.
This one, the water pump pulley.
Oh, the water pump pulley. Either way, it says AMS on it. But the ones that were on here are all stock Nissan belts.
Mm-hmm.
And so Concept Z Performance, I think, possibly sent us the wrong belts.
Seems like it.
Because if stock 300ZX belts work on it, then you'd think that you would be fine. but
yeah. Or there's something we don't know, like you get a set of Nissan OE belts in a certain length or diameter when you get a new kit. Because this pulley over here does look different than ones I've seen pictures of. Could just be different model years. And I don't know about the main crank pulley, but this one says AMS on it, so.
An AMS water pump, boys?
Yeah, so the good news is you said this AC belt was the one you think was making the noise, right?
Right.
Okay, so at least we got that done, but we're tightening back up two of the belts we just took all the time to took off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thomas found a little plug for the boosty leak right there.
Yeah, it's not exactly the right size, but
you know what? We'll see what happens.
It shouldn't go anywhere because it's on there tight.
Because that's a big boost leak.
Yes, it is.
So unfortunately, those belts don't work. The next step that we have to do is take off the hoses off the old radiator, put them on the new radiator, get the new radiator in, and get some coolant in the system, and make sure there's no leaks, and we're all good. Oh, Thomas is already jumping onto the... Taking the hoses off here. Oh, you got the wire caught in the screen. I don't know about you, but I think that M stands for more garage, not Mishimoto.
Yeah, more garage custom radiator.
Yep. Actually. Well, yeah, that's the front side.
Yep.
Not too bad. All right, let's do it to it.
Okay.
Alright, so it's ready to go in. So the 50-50 thing with the Mishimoto radiator is these tabs right here. Some people have extreme difficulty getting them in past these tabs. So with the stock intercooler, the hard lines that come out of the intercoolers. But the people who have not had difficulty said that what they did is they slipped it in sideways like this and then turned it with a hose.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gonna go ahead and try that real quick because I really don't want to cut up this radiator. It's pretty. So let's give her a send. Yeah, I think we might need to take that hose off.
You think?
I think that's gonna work on it like that. I see the problem with the tabs.
So close.
Very interesting.
There you go.
Aha. Tabs. Who needs tabs? Rubber line.
Okay, one side in.
This one needs to go right past that line. All right, now we just need to make sure they line up with the rubber mounts down below. Pretty close. All right, that side's in. Oh, the rubber tab came out. That's why it's not wanting to go in down here. While Thomas is finishing up those intercooler pipings over there, he did get the shroud on and the fan clears. So as per request, we stuck with the clutch fan. So we got some coolant in the car. It's topped off as of right now. It started leaking just right here because this pipe was actually doubled over on the backside. But we caught that, fixed it. Now we're gonna go ahead and start the car and start trying to burp the system, let the car warm up, you know, open up the thermostat and get it all circulated in here, and just leave this right here and add coolant as needed as it keeps on going. But I mean, she pretty boys. I like this radiator so far. So just got back from taking her around the block real quick, making sure she's all warmed up. Temperatures are staying nice. I don't see any leaks. As far as plugging up that little boost leak thing we found, I want to say there's more power, but I'm not really sure. I'm just gauging off the butt dyno. Like, logically, probably not a gain horsepower. If anything, it just sounds a little better. It idles a little better. It feels smoother. There's two more things that we're gonna do. We're actually gonna do it tomorrow because it's getting late tonight. And they're short little things, so it'll just be in the video, last couple minutes. But I'll show you what I need to do. One, this handle right here decided to break. And so I ordered a new one of those. I already have it, just this bezel trim right here. And then another one, a couple days ago when I was driving the Z, the emblem popped off. I was just going down the street and then all of a sudden it just popped off. So I need to get some glue and glue this back on. With that, I will catch y'all tomorrow when we fix those two things. So for you guys, it'll be a blink in the eye. So next day. Right, so it's now the next day. First thing we're gonna do is install this new little bezel on the driver's side door. So that is going to bring this video to a close. I just want to reiterate that I know some people are brand loyal, as in they swear by Koyo or How, but at some point all these radiators are so well made that you're literally just paying for the branding. And the Mishimoto, as you guys saw, went in absolutely easy. Those tabs could pose a problem if I didn't have removed those intercooler pipings. But I mean, taking off the intercooler piping adds like maybe 5 minutes. And all in all, the process of installing the radiator and messing around with all those belts didn't take too long, like maybe 4 hours, and that was still with stopping to get food, stopping, you know, to clean up a little bit here and there, make sure we don't leave too much of a mess. And we weren't rushing it at all. We could have done it in 2 hours maybe if we didn't, you know, just take our time. But anyways, that's where we're gonna call this a video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.